everybody's all excited for the Blazers, and yeah, they've had a good run. They've looked pretty dangerous. Having Nurkic back must feel amazing for Damian Lillard. Having Zach Collins healthy, although he didn't play much in that Nets game, that's got to feel great for Portland. They're finally at full strength. But everybody's a little overboard with whether or not they could beat the Lakers. I got some bad news for you guys. I can say confidently the Lakers are going to sweep Portland out of the first round of the playoffs. Listen, the logic is simple. It's not that difficult. You just have to look at history, which, doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And you got to look at defense, which Portland wants no part of. Let's start with history. Here's a fun fact for Damian Lillard in Portland. The last 3 times they were in the playoffs, they were swept out of the playoffs in their series loss. Okay? Last year, Golden State Warriors, hey, listen, no shame in that. Golden State, one of the best dynasties we've seen in NBA history. Now, they didn't have Kevin Durant, so Portland supposedly had a chance, and obviously Clay and Curry were just far too much. The year before that, they got swept by the Pelicans. Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday. Remember that one? Pretty embarrassing for Dame. And the year before that, they also lost to the Warriors. Again, no shame in losing that. But getting swept, it's not even a gentleman's sweep, folks. We're talking 4-0, get out the brooms. So Dame in the first round against Paul George, hey, you could take down Paul George and Russell Westbrook. They weren't great. But against a great team, now I guess it determines whether you think the Lakers are a great team or not. So that's number one. Portland's postseason history, not very good. Now let me look at the next aspect. I don't think a lot of folks have noticed this. But do you see how much Damian Lillard and the Portland starters are playing? First of all, Damian Lillard led the NBA in minutes this season. If you watch that Nets game on Thursday night, Portland survives the Nets. If you watch that game closely, Dame was so tired he deferred to his teammate, CJ McCollum, who's playing with something of a broken back late in that game. Nurkic was absolutely gassed. This is a guy who didn't play for a year and has now played a lot in the bubble. Look at Damian Lillard's minutes in the bubble. He's playing like 38, 39. He's taking like 20, 25, 30 shots because he's got to carry them to the postseason. They've got to spend so much energy just to get there. It's like, whoa, these guys are going to be gassed. So now they have to do a play-in game. Nobody else doing a play-in game. Lakers rested AD in their final game. LeBron played the first half. They're going to have like 3 or 4 days off fully before they play Portland. This is a Portland team that is going to come into that series gassed. Remember, their starting small forward is Carmelo Anthony. You think Carmelo Anthony's going to be good playing 40 minutes a night? 35, 40 minutes against LeBron? Like, listen, Portland is a great story. They've been amazing. I like Damian Lillard a lot. The basketball shoes I wear when I play, comfortable Damian Lillards. I like Dame. But this idea that Portland has a chance in this series, I'm only halfway through my argument, folks. Listen, I know you like Portland and they're a great upstart, and people are saying they're going to beat the Lakers. The Lakers don't look good. It's a tired Portland team. Oh, and yeah, the best player in the series is LeBron James. Let's not get it twisted. Anthony Davis is awesome. Damian Lillard is incredible. LeBron James is the best player in the series, and who's he going to go up against? Carmelo? Mario Hezonja? Gary Trent Jr., the young whippersnapper out of Duke? Gary Trent Jr. can bang a corner three like the best of them. I think he's shooting over 40% from three in the bubble. But can you ask a 6'5" shooting guard who's like 21 or 22 to try to check LeBron? You guys have forgotten what playoff LeBron is. I know he's 35. Because they didn't get to the playoffs last year. He was hurt. Lakers were a mess. Why don't you turn back the clock all the way to 2018? All the way back to 2018. When he carried a really weak Cavs roster to the finals. Needed 7 to get through Victor Oladipo and the Pacers. Needed 7 to get to the finals, beating the Celtics. Like, LeBron, this is what he does. He lives for the playoffs. He was just ramping up in the first 8 games of the bubble. That's all that was. Look at the history. The history says Portland, last 3 times they've lost to the playoffs, swept. Look at LeBron. Last 8 times he's been in the playoffs, he's gone to the finals. Come on, guys. And finally, and I think this is actually the most important aspect of this, the Portland Trailblazers don't play a lick of defense. And not even an ounce. It's borderline embarrassing. When you look at their defense in the bubble, it's been abhorrent. For getting Collins back and getting Nurkic, it's like they're not even trying on defense. They're like, oh, let's just get an offense so we can quickly get it to Dame and he can, hit shots from the logo, which is what he's been doing in the playoffs. I've loved watching Damian Lillard, but the reality is they're not even trying on defense. And I think we talked about this a little on Straight Fire during the week. Look at the defenses they've played in the bubble. It's garbage. They lit up Memphis. Whoop-de-damn-do. They lit up Houston. They lit up Denver, which is playing all backups. They lit up the Mavs, who don't try on defense. They played Boston. They lost. Boston's a very good defensive team, 4th in defensive efficiency. Played the Clippers, 6th in defensive efficiency. They lost that one too, and Kawhi didn't play. The Lakers are 3rd in defensive efficiency in the league. Trust the numbers, folks. I have 0 issues with the Lakers facing Portland.